Mikey. Uh-oh. You are frozen. Welcome, everybody. I see Mikey's frozen on my side, so hopefully we can get that fixed. My TikTok family. If you guys want to click the link in the bio and come over, I will see you guys there. But I'm going to shut my live down on TikTok. But Mikey is frozen. So let's see if we can fix that. What's going on, you guys? Welcome. Sorry about that, but Mikey is frozen on my side, and I'm not quite sure why, but hopefully we can drop him out and add him back, and he will be joining us. We're going to be talking Roe v. Wade, and we're going to have some real dialogue about it. We're going to open it up, and we're going to keep it real. So let's see if we can get Mikey reconnected. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Anyways, how's everybody doing? I can see you guys' comments. I did say 5 o'clock. Hello, Gloria. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Kenny. I think Brian it may or may not be here. But we're going to give Mikey a second to rejoin us. How is everybody's wonderful day going? We're going to have some deep conversation. If you guys want to type any questions that you guys may or may not have, you can enter them in the chat and I can see them. I should give you guys some useless information that I normally like to start the show. I haven't been by myself in a while. So, okay. Mikey's internet is down. Let me see. If you guys give me 1 second, I'm going to call him really quickly. Hold on 1 sec. You good?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
This internet is going to be the bane of my existence.
Sorry, Mikey. You think it's going to hold up long enough for us to do this?
I fucking hope so. I'll fucking know.
I'm all like, what happened to Mikey? You got like all frozen?
Okay, well,
all right, well. Look, I didn't even come with my useless information.
Clutching the chain, just
Wait, look, I didn't even come with my useless information facts because I wasn't prepared for you to freeze up on this. It's like, what? Welcome. I see the people in the chat.
No, I'm
Lady Architect. Welcome. Brian. Okay, Mikey.
What's going on, you guys?
Light it up for us.
All right.
Introduce what we're talking about.
I'm sure everybody's. Yeah, I got you. I'm pretty sure everybody has already heard of the big leak that has come out from the court that has to do with the Roe v. Wade decision being overturned, or at least looking like it is in the process of being overturned. I want to be careful with my words here, because I think there's a lot of misconception of the whole situation. A lot of people are, some people conservative side are like, oh, it's going to be outright illegal. That's not true. And then, other people are also acting like, oh, abortion's never going to be a thing again, and they're panicking, and that's also not true. The most logical basis that we have, which is what everybody should be aware of, is that all that this is doing is taking the power of the decision away from the federal government and putting it back in the hands of the states, which is close to the people, where what they are truly voting on will be reflected in the legislation in which the state is that they are living in. So that is pretty much the premise to it. The other worry that I have is I'm more concerned is a leak coming out of the Supreme, one of the most emotionally charged that has come out of the Supreme Court in decades, and so much to the point that there were, within 45 minutes, there were hundreds of people at Washington, D.C. already protesting. That just doesn't seem to line up.
So let's talk about that. I mean, ultimately, this information, it's nothing like this has ever happened. This happens, this information is leaked, people are protesting. So my take on this is they want to try to sway anything that could be possibly happening there. So like if their thought process is, yes, we're going to overturn this, public opinion and seeing the public reacting would sway them and maybe change their mind. That's my personal take on it. What do you think?
Right. Well, it's, yes, it's one of those things that move by fascists, and it's funny that the that claims that they are anti-fascism is doing all of the historically known methods that silence or intimidate their opposition to be able to ultimately get their way. And that's exactly when it came to there was intimidation that was put into that case where they were trying to get the judge back off because sent a gunman to her. These are all things that it's very interesting that them making these kind of movements. Meanwhile, in the same breath, they claim that they're against, movements or actions. And yeah, you're 100% right. It's meant to sway, intimidate the judges by public outlash or making people, making the judges seem or feel threatened. So it's another dumpster fire that is America right now.
Well, I guess too, like my take also would be, so people are in this uproar, right? So people are like, women are still going to have abortions, but what we're not focused on is just pushing it back down to the state level. So essentially, all we're doing is saying, let the states control it, let the states do what they want to do, and the federal government's going to stay out of it, as they should have done from the beginning. So why do you think people are struggling with that? Do me a favor, Mikey.
I mean, okay,
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Can you do this from your phone?
Yeah, I could probably end my TikTok live and try to enter on my phone.
Yeah, just because you're breaking up, I think it might be better if we do it from your phone. You want to try?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me try.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while we wait on Mikey, you guys can all see my dog is readily trying to go back. He's trying to get in to the picture, and I'm trying to make him go lay down because he feels like he should be a part of this, but he's not. And so I'm just trying to keep him at bay. So we're going to wait for Mikey to rejoin us. And Creep, no. Hey, you got to lay down. Sorry. E-collars. Listen, if you guys don't have one of these for your dogs, I suggest you get one. This is commands without speaking, because without it, he'd be all over the place. I don't know if you guys know anything about, Jesus, the stock, Belgian Malinois, but they are a piece of work. This is what I'm dealing with. Okay, stop. Lay down. Sorry. He wants to be in my lap, and he's far from a lap dog. Far from. Whew, what a piece of work. Anyways, we're gonna wait for Mikey. He's gonna try to join from his phone because I think that'll make his reception better because he's breaking up so badly. Good evening. I see you over there, everyone. I would sing or entertain you. I don't know any jokes though. I was gonna say I could tell you guys some jokes, but I had to end my own TikTok live because the trolls were trolling me big time. But if you guys don't know, my hat, my t-shirt, I have another one that I was wearing in my last podcast, all came from Dumpster Fire, the website, the main website. So if you guys like what you see, you can get it there. So I'm waiting on Mikey. So give me a moment and we're going to make this happen. Sorry. The interruptions, technology, as bad as it is. I mean, as good as it is, as bad as it is. So I think that like that's the worst part about it. But if anyone has any questions while we're having this moment, feel free to enter them in the chat and I will address them the best that I can. I have a lot going on this week. I'm preparing to go to Texas for the weekend. So I will be in Dallas this weekend. And if Mikey can't do it on his phone, we're going to have to bear with him as he gets through he's going to have to do it on his computer. So give me a second and let me just check in and make sure he's good. I apologize. Hold on, I gotta get to my email so I can resend it to him. Oh. So I hear the chat isn't working for some of you. I apologize. We're gonna have to get this worked out, like so you guys can ask me questions and talk to me because it's very lonely when you're by yourself, you know. So like I say, I apologize. We'll give it a second. I should have invited Snacks. He would have kept us all entertained during this intermission. That's what I should have done. We should invite Snacks and he would have kept us entertained for the intermission. There's Mikey. Welcome back.
There we go. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, perfect. So so where did we leave off?
Yeah, just why do we think people are struggling with the issue, right, you know, of it going away from the federal court?
Yeah, so this is something that I at least seen. You know, I look at TikTok a lot as kind of like a social experiment, and I use it to kind of gauge how people are interacting with certain things that are going on in politics and how it's, you know, emotionally affecting them. And something that I do understand, well, I mean, I don't understand it because I've never been in that per se position, but I do know that there are women that are very emotionally charged because this situation does also intertwine with assault and things of that nature, and so that can make it a lot more raw to be able to, you know, see it's really hard to see a logical basis for something when you are very emotionally charged over an experience that has to do with it, right? And I think that is kind of our biggest wall that we have up with this, because it's one of the most, you know, stigmatized situations, because there are so many case by case bases where, yes, you do have those that are abusing you know, abortion and things of that nature, but then you also have women that have been deceived into thinking that this is the proper solution for them, and they're you know, they're still trying to grapple with those decisions as well. So I think that whenever we see big decisions that revert something, we're always going to have this issue of emotional backlash and emotional, in
Okay.
in inflame, I guess would be like inflamement. I don't know if that would be
But
the
yeah,
right word, but that's
but here's the problem. Those
yeah,
particular cases are very small, right? So when you think about the abortion topic in whole, those particular situations are very small. So I know everyone knows someone personally at some point who's had an abortion, right?
right,
Like you know them personally. And I know a few people, but I also know some people who have abused it
right,
just simply because they were careless. They did not take precaution, and they didn't want to have X's baby, right?
right,
So, with that being said, when you look at the law in whole, right? So, I'm a mother of two. My kids are 5 years apart, and in between the 5 years, I never was on birth control, but I never got pregnant, right? So we know how this works. Like I never had a pregnancy scare. Not that it mattered. I was married, so it didn't matter if I had gotten pregnant. It is what it is. But I did not get pregnant until I was ready to get pregnant. So I think I'm at the point now where people are arguing about things that don't directly affect them. Like you say, they're emotionally charged.
right,
And so it's not like, I guess because each state can ban it, right? So they're like, well, women are gonna be having them in the alleys. Well, no, you can just go to another state because Poland,
right.
the whole country is Catholic.
Yep,
So you have to leave the country
yep.
if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and I still need to look up the statistic, but somebody was telling me that it's a very high percentage of women that are put in that absolutely, atrocious situation where they did not get the opportunity to consent, that they actually do end up keeping the child. There's a very high percentage of that. So I think that that is something else that people have to keep in mind, is that I can understand wanting to pick up some sword and to feel like you need to go on a crusade for others because you are very empathetic to them for their situation. I'm very much the same way when it comes to a lot of things. But we also have to realize, though, uh, are we really speaking for are we have to make sure that when we're speaking and we're trying to help out or be empathetic through somebody else's experience, we're not
Right.
trying to speak for the whole entirety of those that have been through that experience, because then if you do that, you're then going to disvalue the actual opinion of women that are put in those circumstances, which from what it seems is a high percentage of women that choose to keep their children.
Okay,
So
I agree. But there needs to be a regulation. You have to be able to see who is doing what. You can't use this as birth control. You can't.
right, right,
And there's no regulation. They don't talk about how many women become sterile after doing it. They don't talk about the mental health of women after they do it, the regret
right.
in which they have. And I just want to let somebody know in this chat, Ryan, that said that I banned snacks. Okay. Okay. I need to address that really quickly. I did unban him, okay, and he was able to return. And I because Ryan pointed that out, I sent an olive branch out to Snacks, and we'll see maybe if he can come here because I can still ban him here, but I mean that's gonna be my nice gesture. Okay. Anyways, continue.
um But no, yeah, and also the other thing that people don't talk about is they don't talk about the coercive nature of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood they are not transparent. They do not sit here and give women every single possible option and outcome that can happen from doing a procedure like that. They're literally coercive. They're just trying to get women to lay down on the table, and that's the worst part about it. And anybody who tries to argue whether Planned Parenthood is coercive or not, it's very easily seen when they literally fight back against an anti-coercion bill that was put forth. Planned Parenthood literally fought back against it. And if you look into Abby Johnson, a whistleblower from Planned Parenthood, she talks about how they They weren't giving they weren't getting full informed consent, that women were locked in some of the rooms within the clinic after telling abortionists that they didn't want to go through with it anymore. Women
Well,
saying that they were
you
being
know what they do,
coerced.
right? So if you've ever been in one, they essentially do an ultrasound to verify how far along you are and that you really are.
No, you're good, buddy.
And then
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so they, that's what they do, but they never let you like hear heartbeats or anything. They keep it very
Right.
sterile, right? To
Right.
not create any type of emotional attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And they lie. They'll tell you that you're not as far along, or whatever the situation
Or
is,
the
but there's
baby will have birth defects.
right, but there's never
That's
a
another one.
time that someone walks in and say, "Hey, look, we know this is not an easy decision to make, but with that being said, here's some counseling. Do you want to talk to someone?" Like
Right.
there's nothing. It's just like, here it is. Okay, who's here to take you? You're
Exactly. And the other thing, yeah, and the other thing that nobody talks about is the damages that women experience after getting these procedures, after having these operations done. They have mental health issues for up to 10 years afterwards, and 13% have what's called an irrational phobia to infants.
right.
That's a staggering number for women to have an irrational fear that has been introduced after having an abortion, having an irrational phobia towards infants. That's literally against nature.
Yes.
Women
Well,
should not have a phobia to children.
but if you think about it, right, it's like if you feel like your only option is to have an abortion, then it puts a amount of pressure on you, right? So my dad always said to me, if you wait till you can afford to have kids, you'll never have them.
Right.
My father always said that to me.
Mm.
So you find a way to make it through, right? So people are always like, "Oh, I'm waiting till I'm financially stable. I'm waiting." Well, the grand scheme of things, you're never financially stable when it comes to babies.
Right.
And so ultimately, I think for the love of children, it has to just look different. Like you have to have a really valid reason on why this procedure is necessary.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, we can also, so since we're talking about abortion, we can also talk about the California bill,
Okay.
SB 2223,
Oh yeah.
about perinatal death,
Right.
where it literally outlines that if you neglect a child and it dies after 28 days after birth, that there will be no investigation and the mother is not subject to any any ramifications. She has none.
And you know what's scary about that? Look how many babies they already find in dumpsters and trash cans and toilets and everything else. Think about
Yep.
that. Think about
Yep.
that. So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Like you have second thoughts and you can just say, you know what, to hell with this. You're out
Right.
of here.
And see, this is the same kind of thing that like it really, this is what irritates me with the whole debate sphere of pro-life and pro-choice, is there are radicals on both sides.
Right.
Okay? Because you have, so to compare with that piece of legislation, which is now law, by the way, you also have the Texas bill that was put forth. It never made it off the ground, but it was put forth to give mothers the death penalty for having an abortion. There's radicals on both sides, and that's what
Right.
irritates me. We can't
Right.
be sitting here trying to put legislation up just to do the most extreme thing to make a political posture when we're literally affecting the day-to-day lives of citizens. Like, it's not a game. And I
Right.
feel like a lot of people treat this shit like it's a fucking game, and it's not.
Well, if you remove humanity from it, right, and you give it every name but a baby or anything like that, it makes it easy for people to play games.
Right. Right.
Right. So if we really start to break it down, yes, as a female, we are the ones that are going to carry this child, right? So the burden of us of nurturing this baby and bringing this baby to term is on us. But with that being said, we need the men to be in to even get to that process, but we want to eliminate them in all dynamics and all aspects of the process, right? So we want you there to make it, but then when we decide we don't want it or we don't want to deal, then, or if we do want to keep it and you don't want it, then we're just going to take you to court and get child support and all these other things, right?
Right.
So there's this double-edged sword and this double like sidewalk that we're all walking down. What I don't understand, and I guess what's interesting is, and it's good. What's his name? Ace the Don or whatever that was just in the live that we're in. He's a really good example, right? So it's like, oh, we want to give parents right with the Florida parental bill, but we don't want to give them the rights with the abortion, right? But what people don't understand is we are in complete control of our bodies.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
if you are one of the number, the small percentage that someone is violating you and you can't control the situation, it looks very different than those of us who are consenting adults and
Right.
want to have fun but don't want the accountability.
Right. And this is the other thing is that, and this is the shitty bullet that I feel like pro-lifers we have to bite, which is that abortion is never going to be eradicated.
Right.
It's not possible. There's been too much deception, propaganda, and lies that have been spread specifically to women and a lot of the younger generation now, to where they truly think that it is something that they can rely on. It is something that they have for their benefit, that it is now a right. And once you've ingrained that into a society, it is going to be so hard to be able to revert that kind of a thought process. Now that we have people that are legitimately standing with 10 toes down and saying it is my right to be able to do this, we have some we have something way deeper put into our society
Right.
than what can be fixed with just simple legislation. And that's just the fact of the matter.
I agree.
Because we're always going to have those radical blue states. You're always going to have a radical blue state that's going to be like, oh, well, if they want to do this, we're going to just allow it to be a free-for-all.
Yeah,
So
but if you notice that those radical blue states are also very like mother leaning, right? So like they're the ones that want to put like the harshest penalties on dads. They're the ones that let moms alienate the fathers, and these dads are fighting to see their children, and they're making it virtually impossible. It's that same type of division of family. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? So like breaking up the nucleus of what a family unit is.
Right. Well, it's because that's the whole reason why the government specifically targeted the nuclear family structure within the Black community with the whole welfare programs and with Planned Parenthood, because they recognized that the strongest force in the world is the nuclear family structure. And it doesn't matter which demographic, because if you have a man that is able to protect and provide and is able to see the bigger picture scale of things, and then you have a woman that is able to nurture and can read into the nuances and see the details within a situation, that combination, nothing is ever going to be missed. And all you can do is just build and build on top of that. It is the strongest connection that you can have. And the government recognized it. They said, if we have any opportunity at demoralizing and breaking down the spirit of this nation, we need to target this specifically, which is the Western nuclear family. That's why we fight so hard for it. It's the only structure that leads to success.
Yeah, with Black people too, our family unit is really tight. Like we value family. I mean,
right.
I know it goes across, but I mean, within like our community, family is everything. So it made sense to break that down, because that's where the hardcore bond was.
Right.
I guess for me, where I'm struggling is that with no new life ceases to exist. So if look who's here, ladies and gentlemen.
Dun dun dun.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What's going
So
on, man?
I brought you here because Ryan called me out and he said that I banned you because Mikey was having some internet issues. And I said, oh, we need Snacks here for our entertaining purposes. So while Mikey's getting reconnected, Snacks will be able to entertain us. And Ryan pointed out that I banned you. So this was my olive branch to apologize, Snacks.
You extend the olive branch after you steal Wikipedia from me. That's not cool. I mean, I don't know how
Hey,
y'all live your life. And Keisha, this shit is war.
I think I'm gonna do my
Hold on,
I think I'm gonna do the podcast from my phone. Yeah, you are. Oh fuck yeah, you are. There's
I can't see
no,
y'all. How
no
come I
fucking
can't see y'all?
censorship.
What can't
There
you
ain't
see?
no fucking censorship.
What can't you see? Let me see. Is that better?
I can't see none of y'all.
I'm way too close to the camera for this view.
Well, it's okay. We see you. Don't worry about it. We see you.
No,
Just
yeah, we can see you.
talk
Yeah,
to the
you on
camera.
the
We
screen.
see you. It's
But
cool.
no, but yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, there's no censorship on this motherfucker, bro. You can say literally whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Now I'm good. When you said motherfucker, then I know I'm in a good state.
Also, I think I'm gonna do the podcast from my phone just until I can get a good webcam because I like how it looks and the connection is a lot stronger through the phone. So
that's why I have this back here because I'm setting my OBS up now. I'm setting my OBS up with my cameras and the lighting and stuff. Like you got to put the lights at two different areas to make that.
I have two. I have lighting around me. So okay, bring it back, gentlemen. Snacks, snacks. Welcome to Keisha's burn pit. So
burn pit. Oh,
it's dangerous here. It's dangerous. So just
it's dangerous.
No.
Okay, when ink brings you into the building, it gets a little dangerous. So everybody can see you. I see some people that are happy to see you here. So that's all.
There's people in here. Who else is in here?
No, they're in the chat.
We can't see.
So they see you, and so they're like snacks.
Yeah,
so we're talking about the family nucleus. Snacks. What you want to add to it? We're talking about this Roe v. Wade abortion. Let's talk about it.
See, the thing is, I like that it's on the state level, right? But I just can't help to feel like, what are they pulling off? What are they trying to get away with? What are they sneaking in? You know, it's like it's the Trojan horse. I feel like it's a Trojan horse for me. I feel like they're giving us something just to destroy us with something else. You know?
Okay.
Well, they're already talking about riots and protests this summer. Believe me, I mean, I be hanging out. I don't hang out on the let me make sure I clarify. I don't hang out on the leftist side of TikTok, but I definitely go and view. I like to see what the other side is talking about, how they're moving. I'll just pop in and just kind of look around. And no, there's already talks about organizing, going in the streets. We need to make our voices heard. This can't be peaceful. We're pissed off, all this kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if this summer, I mean, Macho's been saying it too. Since the decision came out, he's been saying, be careful this summer because this shit looks like it's going to get fucking wild.
But what are they protesting? Like, what are you honestly protesting?
This goes back to what I was saying earlier is I think that the shitty part that we have within our society right now is that there's been so much propaganda and so much disinformation that has been put out specifically geared towards women and young women that have made them truly believe that not only is this something that they can rely on, but it's also something that is a right to them. And when you institute that is what's going to make those kind of emotionally charged reactions of, oh, I need to be in the streets and I need to make sure that I stand up because, you know, we got to fight the power and all that kind of stuff, even though it's misplaced. Their intent is they think they're in the right with what they're doing.
But I don't get it. I just don't understand. Like, see, like you brought up a good point earlier about this is fascism. This is actually the definition of fascism. It's like you only want to see one side of the coin and no one else's opinion matters. And if you buck up against those who think that they have, for instance, there's a certain side, and I don't want to say their name because I hate their guts and they know it. But they had this thing where they can say whatever they want and go unchecked. Nobody goes unchecked. You're not gonna put this nonsense out and not have somebody disagree with you. That's not how shit works. It works like you have your opinion, I have my opinion. Let's throw the facts at each other and see whose opinion makes sense. But that's not how it is anymore. How it is I have this opinion, and if you disagree, you're wrong.
Or racist.
Right.
Well, what happened?
Can I come right back? I have to come right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries, man.
And too, even with that being said, is that ultimately what ends up happening is it's not even about an opinion anymore, right? So it's like it literally becomes like fact, right? So it's like, no, you're wrong. You aren't supporting my body, my choice. But what did they say about us when it came to the vaccine? It was, we were all about my body, my choice. But now when it comes to this, we're not about that.
Right.
Very different situation, right? When you're taught, it's not just your body when there's a life inside of you. Like,
well, I think, yeah, and I think that that's what makes the issue so difficult, and what makes it so, it makes the debating part so much more possible, because it is the one-off instance where you have a human being developing within another human being.
right.
And those are two entities that have rights, but the issue where the debate comes in is, when do those rights come into play? Are rights inherently given off of the bat at conception? That is my belief, because I believe that if you start making exceptions and blurring lines, then it makes it more possible to move that goalpost.
Right.
Or are the rights given at the moment of birth? And that is where the whole debate comes in.
Okay, so
and
hold that thought. Okay, so when you say that, right? When you are pregnant, you get pregnant. You have to nurture the baby. The baby cannot exist on its own. You nurture this baby until it comes out. The difference is, when the baby's born, you still have to nurture that baby, because the baby still can't exist on its own. It's the same concept, only on the outside.
Right.
So if you don't feed the baby, if you don't provide the baby with nutrients, the baby will die.
Right.
So I don't understand why, because this is my theory, and I've always said this, that my son, 26-year-old Robert, he has the same heart beating in him that he had inside of me. Right. If I took him out right now, I would be a murderer and I would be a horrible person. What is the difference? Right?
Right.
He still had the same right to life then as he does now.
Right.
So I don't understand that.
Right. And I think my biggest points whenever rights get brought up is the fact of, if you start allowing the federal government to say that the most vulnerable in the society, the voiceless, the most vulnerable in a society, is allowed to be killed with no repercussions or ramifications about it, then that is a very, very slippery slope for how they view us. Because if they can do it to the vulnerable, what makes us think that they wouldn't start moving that goalpost? Be like, okay, well, now the elderly that are that aren't able to be quote unquote productive to society, because that's one of the biggest arguments is utilitarianism, which is, if it's not able to be utilized by society or be productive, then it's not valuable and it doesn't need to exist.
Okay.
That's exactly the steps in which we're moving towards. Or not necessarily moving towards, but that's where people's minds are starting to go when you start instituting these narratives of, oh, it's just a fetus, or it's just a baby and it's not born yet, so it doesn't do anything for society.
Yeah, but that also is the narrative of, it's just a baby or it's just a child, is why we are now seeing the push and the prey on our children. So just ignoring it, right? So it's like, we're no longer protecting the innocent. We're no longer protecting the vulnerable. It's just like they're devaluing what children are. All spectrums, all dynamics. It's evil. And no matter how you put a spin on it, if you look at what's happening in society as a whole, it's bigger and deeper than just abortions.
Right. It's the robbing of innocence.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Yep. And why is that? I want to know. Brian and I were just having this conversation, Oh yeah, right here. It says they're convinced it's not anything more than a clump of cells. You're right, Heidi. Brian and I were just having this conversation today, and it's like, how did we get to a place where children didn't matter? Where we're more worried about the adult than we are the precious life, like the little innocent person who has no voice, no say so. The only thing that they can do is look to the adult to protect them. When did we, as a society, stray away from that? Why is my life more valuable than the child that I carry?
I would make the argument that it was the same time that people started looking at the government as the second parent within the household. You start putting that amount of trust. You start putting that amount of trust into an entity that is corrupt and is incepted and is deeply embedded with evil.
Yes.
Then that is exactly what you will brew. You reap what you sow is effectively what it is. And this is what we're seeing as a society reaping what the people had sowed by, as I say all the time when I'm on here, willful ignorance, remaining complacent, and not being involved. Those are the three biggest things. Is you become complacent and ignorant with your media and with your day-to-day activities.
Right.
You become uninvolved because you think that these people, for whatever godforsaken reason, would have your best interest in mind. So you don't go out and you aren't involved in school board meetings and local town city halls, which then trickles up because then you're not really involved into, federal elections. You don't really care, which is a big spirit that we started seeing go around our country before 2016. It was kind of like everybody was just like, oh, I don't really care.
Right.
And then the third one is through complacency. Complacency is just, oh, it is what it is. And I guess we just have to live with it because nothing's going to change. And those three things are absolutely what led us to this point where it's disgusting.
Right.
It's absolutely disgusting.
I see Snacks is back, but I can't see him. Like he's in the box, but I don't see his camera is on. So watch. Let me see. Watch. Let's see what happens. Can you hear us, Snacks? Oh, there you go. I'm like, what's happening? But yeah, so the whole government as a second parent, that's kind of deep, Mikey. That's really kind of deep because that speaks volumes. That says a lot about where we are as a people, where we are as a whole, how we got here, where are we going to go, and how do we improve it, right? So now they're saying, hey, we're going to overturn this. Now we got people rioting in the streets because they're saying that it's a woman's, what does they say, healthcare to be able to get an abortion. But why don't we push more of birth control, contraception? Welcome back, Snacks. Counseling, what the real consequences are of having unprotected sex, even aside from pregnancy. Like, we don't have any of that education, but we have people, like we said, they're not addressing your mental health after an abortion. Nothing is being addressed. So how do we get to a place where we can say this needs to be collectively a different type of situation? So if it's going to be medical, if they're going to say this is medical, then when you need, we'll say, a tumor or something removed, there's all these steps that you have to go through before you can get it removed, right? You don't just walk in the doctor and say, oh, I have this bump, cut it off. Nope, there's all these processes that you have to go through first, right?
Yep.
It needs to be that same type of thing. Anything you do that's extensive to your body and your psyche, they make you go through all these steps. Why is it that you can just walk into some clinic that somebody opened on a corner, pay whatever the fee is, suck life out, and just they kick you right out?
Right.
Why is that okay?
Right. And I think, I think this is something that I say quite a bit, is I think that it should be, but for some reason it's not. It should be that should be the most bipartisan argument, is the fact of we need more resources for women that are in situations that they aren't prepared for, and they need to have another route to be able to go, rather than just having every sign around them nowadays telling them just go lay on the clinic table and you'll be fine. Just
Right.
get rid of it and you'll be good. It's okay. That's the biggest issue I have with the pro-choice side, is that there isn't any help. They claim that they're helping women, but there is literally no help. It's just go lay on the clinic table and get it and then get your baby taken out. And they don't talk to you about, like I was saying earlier, the mental health issues that come from it. They don't talk about, the emotional distress, the physical stress that can come from it. Women have said that they've, literally been sick to their stomach for extended periods amount of time because they can't grapple with it. None of those things are being talked about, and we're actually putting women in a worse position than they were in the first place a lot of times, because again, it's a small percentage of cases that come from women that didn't, unfortunately, and absolutely just horrendously did not get the opportunity to consent. That's a very small percentage.
There's one part about people's excuses about abortions that really irritates me, and it irritates me on a fundamental core of my masculinity or just being an adult. Period. When they say, "I want to have an abortion because I can't afford it." Now, I hate that aspect because that comes from a place of fucking weakness. Because I was so happy to be a father, right? And I was younger, and I thought to myself, I'm having a baby. I said, oh, I'm going to go take that McDonald's job and work 2 shifts at McDonald's. I'm going to take this Long John Silver's job or whatever job I had, because I was so happy to be a father. Like, my kids are my everything. They're always going to be my everything. I might be aggressive a lot, but with my kids, I'm a doting father. I'm all, give me hugs and come here, boy, I love you. And you know what I mean? That kind of father I am. I'm aggressive with everybody else, but I just love being a father. And my mother, like the fact about my mother, how I feel so much about my mother. I said this before, and Mike, I know you've heard me say this, and I don't know if Keisha's heard me say this, but it's a beautiful thing to me that my mom's been protecting me since the day my dad made love to her.
I heard that today. You said that today.
Do you realize what that does to my mind? If anybody who's a boy, you understand that a bond between you and your mother is real. Ain't nobody on earth disrespecting my mom. So when I'm fighting for rights for women to have their children, that's because I believe how beautiful and miraculous pregnancies are. You know, I don't think of it as being something foreign or something that's a parasite or it's destroying a woman's body. Because with all this body autonomy talk, the autonomy of a baby's body is the parent's job. It's your job to protect this child.
But think about it like this, right? When you say destroying women's bodies, like you hear all these women say, oh, I don't want to get pregnant, or I'm going to get stretch marks, or I'm going to gain weight, or I'm going to do all this. But I can say this, after carrying 2 kids, I don't look nothing like I did before I carried 2 kids. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like movement in your body. It is the most miraculous thing that you can experience. So as that baby develops and the baby starts to move and you feel life growing inside of you, like I've told my kids, you're the only 2 people on the earth that have heard my heartbeat from inside of my body.
Wow.
You know, so think about, like, my children have literally heard my heart beat from the inside of my body. So when you deliver your baby, they know your voice, they know your smell, they know your heartbeat, because they've spent 9 months inside of me. You do nothing but bond with this little person, and then it pops out looking like you or the dad or whatever, or your aunts or your uncles or your grandparents. It's just insane. So when you think about the love, I don't love anything or anyone like I love my kids.
Facts.
It's like they are, I would die, kill, steal. It wouldn't matter. I would do anything for my kids. They're always my babies. So the fact that we've gotten to a place where we've come complacent with, oh, it's just a clump of cells. Oh, it's not a baby till you have this. Oh, wait, if you're in California, you 28 days later, if you decide, oh, this isn't working for me, something happens, then you can just get rid of your baby and no questions asked.
That was fucking beautiful, Keisha.
Yeah.
that I'm dead serious. Like I almost dropped a tear. They heard my heartbeat from inside of, like inside of me. Like
yes. It's like you can't, like I tell people, until you've been pregnant, like that's why it's so powerful as a female, as a woman, to carry a child. Your body changes, it prepares you literally to give birth. Then it says, oh wait, you have this little person. Now guess what? Now you're going to make milk. Guess what? Now you're going to be able to feed this baby and nurture this baby outside of your body. So the same thing you were able to do inside, now you're going to be able to do it on the outside. I've never in my life been through anything like birth. Like it's incredible. And then your body does it. And then like you're in all this pain. As soon as the baby comes out, boom, just like that. Your body's like, okay, that's over. No more pain. Now we're moving on. If we talked about the glamorous part about being a parent and the bonding, maybe more people will want to have babies.
Right. And that's where the consciousness argument goes directly out the window, is when you're talking about how the baby is inside of you and they can hear your heartbeat from inside. That's the exact reason why it's the most soothing sound for a baby to be laid up on your chest, to hear your heartbeat, because it's the closest thing to what they consciously, for all you leftists out there, they consciously recognize the heartbeat. So they are put in a place of soothing and ease and peace when they're closest to the heartbeat.
My oldest son was 7 weeks premature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go to the NICU, the neonatal and intensive care unit, right? He was in there 37 days. So I was taking showers from there and staying there and going to work from there, like back and forth. But I would come in and they would do this thing called K-Care. K-Care is where you take your shirt off and your child lays on your chest, and it's like a bonding between you. And when I held my son on my chest and I looked over and he snuggled up, got real comfortable, and then he smiled. I seen a smile on his face. I don't know what kind of person you are, but if you're the kind of person that can see a baby smile while they sleep and still be pro-choice, you need to get your head examined, because there's something really wrong with you. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I just kept looking at him. Because he had a little smile. And I'm like, all sorts of stuff was going through my head. I'm like, what is he dreaming about? What is he thinking about? Like, how do I feel to him? Like, you know what I mean? It was all these weird emotions.
Right.
My son now, he's 21 and he's so aggressive. He's an angry individual.
Just like
you. Know what I mean, after I check him, I always think about that. I don't care how mean and arrogant you're gonna get. You're still gonna be that little 4-pound, 4-ounce baby that was laying on my chest smiling. You know what I mean? And
think about this though too. So my son, I was talking to him when I was just there last week in Arizona, and I was like, oh my God, son, you are so white. You need some sun, man. Your skin is pasty. And he's laughing like, yeah, I am pretty light. I'm like, man, I mean, I don't know how anybody, I said, we might need a DNA. I said, I don't know. I said, we might need a DNA test, son. I don't know if you mind, right?
Right. Where's the blackness? Right.
Okay. He literally paused and he just said, it's too late now.
Oh shit, right.
He's like, I'm like, it doesn't even matter what the DNA test says. You're my mom, right?
Right. Yeah, you mom in the motherfucker now. It's too late.
It's too late. So I said, maybe your real family is rich.
So what? I don't want my rich family. I want my mom.
Right. Really, mom? Right? So it's like the concept, right? Because what do people always say? How do you know your parents are really your parents, right? You know how people always say that, right? How do you know your parents are really your parents? That kind of stuff. But when you are a parent, like Mikey, you're young. Like you're, the same age as like my kids. You're still like a baby. But one day you're going to be a father. And I tell people the unconditional love your child shows you. And Mikey, you are a good example of that, because you've been through some stuff, but you still love your mom. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, I said, moms, we can get away with a whole lot when it comes to our kids, and they will still
love her. You gotta love her from a distance.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And
Mike,
that's okay. And that's okay.
Mike
You
is
know,
an honorary Gen Xer. Sorry, he's honorary Gen Xer. We're gonna swear his ass in, and we're gonna give him a Boys II Men tape and a Walkman.
yeah, he said
He's with us.
he said a
Right.
Boys II Men tape and a Walkman.
Yeah,
And
give
that's
me
why I think,
Man.
and that's why I told Mikey, I said, that's why I want to know why, for one, people are upset. Because you see some of these states, these red states, they're like, ban, you're not doing nothing. But
Right.
at the end of the day, guess what it's doing? It's making you accountable. It's making you
Right. Well,
responsible.
there's only 2 states right now that are signaling that they will outright ban it, and that's Oklahoma and Ohio. From what I've seen, those are the 2 states that are signaling that when this goes through, oh, shit. Sorry, yawning. It's been a long day. But when this goes through, that they're signaling that they will just outright ban it. So it's
So,
not like,
it's
so
not
again,
even
it's
like
not the end
Utah.
of the world. It's
So
not
not
the end of
even
the
like
world
Utah.
for these leftists, because they're acting like the sky's falling, like it's Chicken Little, and it's like, bro, it's not the end of the world. I understand people are very emotionally charged, but at the end of the day, if you set your emotions aside, you'll see that the best thing that we can all agree on is that the federal government is corrupt. And any power that we can strip from them and get back closer to the hands of the people is the best possible thing that we can do.
So Sandra said, I believe the leak was so it would go to the state level. And when we go to vote in November, the Democrat will push this so they will have the platform to win races because they don't want to lose control of the Senate and the House.
No, yeah, they're already losing it. This is their last ditch effort. This is the last arrow in the quiver that they're pulling out. Think about it. This is something that it is an unprecedented reverse in the Supreme Court system. This is something that's been fought for over 50 years on the pro-life side. They've been fighting this for 50 years, and the decision gets leaked. This is a last-ditch effort by the Democrats to try and enrage or inflame their voter base to try and get more numbers, even though record numbers of people are re-registering as Republicans that used to be Democrats in states like Florida, Arizona, Pennsylvania. Florida's leading Republicans to Democrats by 100,000.
Love it.
That's a red
Florida is my second choice.
Pennsylvania just had 20,000 people re-register from Democrat to Republican.
And more so than the R and the D, it's literally people waking up and seeing what is going on. And that is so important, especially right now, because we're losing control. Like, I mean, people are just, like you say, he hasn't even been in the White House. He got a whole studio set up across the street.
Yep.
Like, what's really going on? He's got a whole studio set up across the street.
They're not even in D.C. That's the thing that scares me most, because you know why they're not in D.C.? There is no way you can ever see planes flying in the sky in D.C. They never, it's restricted airspace. So when he was having that press conference in the White House and the plane's flying by and he said, oh, I can't hear because of the plane, you're not in D.C., bro. That's one thing I always thought was weird in D.C., that you don't never see planes flying around.
Yeah.
You know? It's like being in the woods and you don't hear birds. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, what's crazy too is that there was also the 3 Department of Defense helicopters that landed at the Capitol. It was like, was it 5-6 days ago? Nobody knows what they were doing there.
And why is the White House waving? Like a strong wind hits the green screen and it starts waving and shit.
Right, no, your backdrops and shit. Yep.
Right. Yep. I'm telling you, he's going to take off his mask.
Why is Pelosi and Schiff over in that country that everything's going on in, but meanwhile we're supposed to believe it's another war zone over there, but Pelosi's over there with no protective gear on. An almost 80-year-old woman is over in a quote-unquote war zone right now with no protective gear on.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to absolutely say it. Ukraine is a corrupt country, right? And the reason why is because when people get their payments, for instance, if you're a lobbyist and you lobby for somebody to do this for you, how am I going to pay you that America can't see it? Go to Ukraine. You would go to Ukraine, like or the Cayman Islands, things that's offshore, get your payments and come back. Because Ukraine is so corrupt, their country would sit, it was easily, you could have Pelosi and all of them. All right, here's the 33 billion we said we're sending to Ukraine, but it's actually for y'all. We're sending it to Ukraine, but let's go ahead and split the pie.
Okay, so you know what? Since we brought that up, let's talk about it. Why are they sending so much money? Why?
It's money laundering.
Right?
That's why. Right? That's why there's been. That's why there's officials that have been caught at the border with suitcases full of not only hundreds of thousands of dollars of American printed money, but also euros and also gold bars that they're trying to smuggle out of Ukraine.
And you know what's interesting about that? Whatever happened to the Kuwaiti gold? Nobody wants to talk about that. We stormed Iraq, stole Kuwaiti gold. Where did it go? The rabbit hole gets deep. And Mike, I told you no lies, right? Did I tell you about all the rabbit holes once you start opening them up?
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad that you're with the Khazarians and Draconians and all that.
But see, here's the thing, too. That's why I said it's all intertwined. It's all connected. And when you start to stem everything out, all the little connections, you start to see it. That's why I keep telling people they sending our children off as ransom as well, right? They snatching them up off the streets and they're saying, oh, well, here's another part of that payment that we're going to do for you. Here's another part of that. And that's why we're not protecting them. And that, I think, too, is a part of this leak. Another distraction, smokes and mirrors.
But that's the part that's scary, because this is why I told people months ago to start buying silver. Because the thing about it is they want the country to collapse economically.
Yes.
Because if the country collapses economically and the dollar is forced, then the gold that they have is law. Now, every ounce of money that you need has to come from the federal government. What does it mean to be dependent on federal government? Being dependent on federal government is communism. It's socialism. So that is the way where you make people socialists under a democratic guise. For instance, every law that they passed, that the liberals passed, has some kind of inference to federal law, has something where federal has more power than anything. So the only way to make our money nothing is to destroy it and start over. It's like, for instance, you see how they're talking about the New World Order constantly.
Yeah.
Where Obama's talking about how you can't take care of yourselves, or I did the post about it.
Yeah.
That's important, because it's important for the fact is, who do Americans count on when like in the Depression? How did Depression get fixed? You know, they look at it. If we force a depression, how do the banks get their money back? How is this? Farmers, resources, and raw materials are so hard to acquire right now, because they know that that's actual tangible assets. That's actual tangible assets. So if you restrict the people from things that's tangible assets and just give them credit and give them money, they'll never own anything, because nothing about that is tangible. Now, if you try to take that money and go buy gold and silver, you're going to have problems. For instance, buying silver is really, really hard right now. Really, really hard now.
Yeah.
Because they know that the money ain't really worth shit, but this silver that you use to buy it is. You know?
Go ahead, Mikey.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, everything that he's saying is 100% right. I've been saying it from the beginning that if you, by the way, I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder. I got big ass thunderstorms going right now, but no, yeah, if you want to destroy a country, one, how we see historically it's always done is you do it monetarily, financially, you cripple the country. And then also when it comes to what Snacks was talking about with the New World Order, if they wanted to implement some kind of a global currency or a thing of that nature, you would have to get rid of the fiat dollar, or the illusion around, I should say, the fiat dollar, because there isn't really any value actually tied to the fiat dollar. It's just the illusion in which that we've been fed that this note has value to it that is equal to 100, and I'm giving you this so I get this kind of product for that amount, right? So that's how, it's exactly what Snacks is saying. You have to destroy that to be able to implement something newer.
Yeah, Kenny said they are setting up for the U.S. war against Russia.
Mm, mm.
I don't think the war against Russia is going to happen.
I don't really see us going to war with Russia. I do see by this summertime another smaller country having military activity at it from another foreign influence, and that country would start with a T, and the other country that would be going into it is China. So I'll let you go off of that how
But
you
I
may.
don't even think this is about war, though. Honestly,
No, it's not. It's
it's
not.
not.
The
It's
reason why I say that Taiwan is next is because there's a lot of biolabs
yeah,
that are in Taiwan, just like we're in Ukraine, and so I don't know exactly what effort is going on with that, whether it is to our benefit or not, that these biolabs are being taken care of. But I do, if this is the pattern in which that we're seeing, then I foresee that happening this summer, because especially with Xi lining up with Putin, things of that nature, which they have publicly aligned themselves with each other, then I could see Xi doing the same thing that Putin did with Ukraine, which is going in and demilitarizing, or at least getting rid of the biolabs that are found throughout Taiwan to be able to make his country more secure.
yeah. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? Not to change subjects, but just because it popped in my mind when we were talking about Maxwell and her reduced sentence, you were talking about, her speaking and blowing the whistle. And I remember I told you I don't believe that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you told me you were writing it down to throw it back in my face.
Yes, I am. I'm writing it down. I put that down on my little notepad right here. I saved it and I stuck it on a sticky note and said, I'm gonna slap Mikey upside the head with this sticky note when this does not come to fruition. Just so.
Are you gonna wait? So does that mean that when it does come to fruition, you're gonna crumple the sticky note up and eat it?
Sure.
So you're gonna have to eat your words
On live.
Eat your words.
on live. Perfect.
I will do that on live. Yes, I will do that, Mikey. But I mean, because like ultimately, I always try to figure out why some things are happening and why we don't. So you hear some things, but you don't hear other things, And when all
Right.
of this stuff was surfacing and when Trump was still in office and we were talking about all the trafficking and all these people that are tied to all these things, and then they, shoo him out, right? And then they place this person who I refuse to say his name into the office, which he's never been in the office. And
Right.
then it goes away. Whew, silence.
Well, yeah. Well, let's not forget, one of the first things that Joe Biden reversed when he was put in office was Operation Talon, which was the operation that was put forth by the Trump administration to go after human traffickers and pedophiles within the country.
That's the part that's the most interesting. Because do you know there was 5 other leaders of countries who were with Putin when it said about that the leaders were pedophiles and that they were trafficking children from other countries? They went after them and said that their country didn't want to accept the vaccine, and they were assassinated.
Yep.
Same people. Yep. Now Putin is fighting for this because he knows. Do you remember when he made that speech? He said, "We all know what you're upon, what kind of evil that you're on. We know what you're doing." And the thing is, there's so much tape. Oh my gosh, I wish I could just blare it on every station, period. But there's so much deeper than what's going on, man.
And you know what? That's something that we could even address here. Like, we should start pulling back some of these videos. We should start playing some of these videos, and we should really start to dig deeper into it, because the people who were talking about it are the people they're now saying are the bad guy, the evil people.
Right.
You notice? So now they figured out
domestic terrorism.
Yes, now they figured out a way to sway that opinion, right? Oh, look at how bad they are. Look, but in the grand scheme of things, what they were, even Putin, like what they were trying to uncover is being tried to be washed away. Because I'm telling you now, when all of the names start to surface to the top, it's going to look real ugly, real fast for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, for me personally, I want to see that. I want to know who's behind all these trafficking and things like that. I want to know, as far as money, I want to see who is deeply, deeply connected.
The underground tunnels. I want to get a militia of men and just go down in these tunnels and see what's going on. I would love that. If I can get a whole bunch of hardcore men with ARs or whatever, just go down these tunnels and find these babies.
Yeah,
I'm
because
with it.
that shit you would definitely need some ARs with, man, because
Absolutely.
ever since the military decommissioned the deep underground military bases, that then opens them up to the private market, and the private market we know will always blow the federal or the public market or the government market out of the water. The private market is always going to have more capabilities of things of that nature. That's the thing that's really fucked up when we talk about deep underground tunnels, deep underground bases. That's where like it gets to a point where it's like your imagination could really fucking run wild. If you just have a bunch of fuck it money,
Yeah.
your imagination could fucking run wild with what you could be doing down there, because
Right.
ain't nobody know. It's underneath our fucking feet. Ignorance is bliss.
Right.
We're
Well,
walking on
but
top of it.
that's how everything's been moved. I mean, they show
Right.
you all these documentaries, even coming out of Mexico with the cartel, and everything is moved underground in the night. I mean, think about all the movies. If you go back to like the movie The Fugitive, right? Or what was the one with Wesley Snipes? Remember? And they put the thing up and they showed like all the underground tunnels, like under the White House. Remember?
Oh yeah.
U.S. Marshals.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Was it U.S. Marshal?
Was that?
With Wesley
It
Snipes, right?
sounded right to me.
Yeah, but remember how they showed like the underground tunnels like coming out of the White House? Everything has been moved underground. Like even when you go to London, the Queen, when she comes out of like Buckingham Palace, there's a
you talking about Murder at 1600?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Even the Queen, she has a whole underground tunnel that takes her out of Buckingham Palace and drops her up on the other side into miles away. So this has been the way they've always done things, and that's why they keep it silent. Everything is moving under our feet. And every day they just dig a new hole, then dig a new place. I saw somebody who brought up something about why is the Children's Museum next to the port in Florida?
It goes. I'm telling you, all this shit is going hand in hand. That's the thing that scares me, because everything we're going through, it aligns with religion. It aligns with mythology. It aligns with so much stuff, to the point where there's no such thing as constant coincidence. I don't believe in constant coincidence. If something is coincidentally happening all the time, it's no longer coincidence. It becomes fact. Yeah. There's no such thing as constant coincidence.
Right.
And it's scary to say it, but
the mathematical conclusion that comes from coincidence is how many coincidences until it becomes a fact, and that's three.
Right, right.
Mathematically, it is 3 occurrences. You cannot say it is a coincidence.
That's a theorem, mate. It's a theorem. It's a theorem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so so with that, this new, what is this committee thing that Biden has put for the misinformation?
Ministry of Truth.
Yes.
That is the actual blueprint of Stalin. That's the actual blueprint of what's his name? Gobel? Forget his name.
Yeah, Goebbels or whatever.
Goebbels, yeah. That's their blueprint, because that's the communistic, socialistic viewpoint. And if you notice, it's the same blueprint every time. The people push the socialism. They get the people to push socialism, which we see all these young kids talking about.
Right.
Then socialism leads to communism. Then communism leads to dictatorship, to the point where Joe Biden will become king of America. And then he's owned by another king. Even though he's the king of America, he's still subservient to the number one king. The problem is, we got to find out who that number one king is, because everybody will be under dictatorship then. You know?
I'm getting there.
And that means Hunter Biden becomes the next king.
I'm getting there.
You getting there, Mikey? You gonna tell us? You gonna have the info for us? You gonna have the intel?
Man, when I tell you, okay, so right now I'll tell you the 3 books I'm reading. I'm reading The Bloodline, and I'm reading them at the same time. I'm reading The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I'm reading Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall from 1928. And then I'm also reading Conspirators' Hierarchy, The Committee of 300.
You had me order 3 books. I ordered 3 books and spent $100.
Yes, sir. That's the 3 books that Fritz Springmeier wrote. And then the conspirators hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300 is written by Dr. John Coleman. And then the Secret Teachings book is written by Manly P. Hall. It's a Masonic and Hermetic Kabbalistic, and a bunch of other ideologies that are all mixed together into one. So it teaches you like the occultic beliefs and backgrounds of these elites.
Right.
So I'll find them.
Right.
And you know what the scary part is? I feel like we are probably closer than we've ever been.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the scariest part. I believe we are closer than we've ever been. And I think the level of disappointment and like, I don't think we'll be shocked, right? So like, I think they could say it's X and we would be like, yeah, well.
I could have seen that coming. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
See, that's what scares me. Because my thing is this, all right, when you go post-apocalyptic, and when you think in post-apocalyptic terms or apocalypse coming, you know who the people who are on the forefront of doing these atrocities to people. They're the ones who don't care about life or death. The same people who push for the abortions and all that kind of stuff and ignore murders and things like that. They're the ones that's going to be pushing for all the atrocities because they morally, they're gone. Just like that last guy that came on AJ's Live, he started talking about, I don't think it's a moral standpoint. I hate him because that's it makes no sense. How do you take morality out of law?
Oh, you know, okay. So when you say that, you know what's happened, right? Like you said, it all stems back to religion, right? So when you strip religion, you strip any type of moral compass, accountability, people having to answer to something higher than them, you start to get this removal of dismissal, right? So it's just like, what do you need your moral compass for? Just do this or just do that. Go ahead, Mikey. I feel like you want to say something.
I just found a crazy picture online. It's a little bit off topic, but I found it really interesting though.
What is it?
It's a picture from like the Spanish flu era. And it shows a bunch of medical staff with like masks on and shit. Here, how do I switch my camera?
I don't know. Just turn it around. Oh.
Oh, no, that turned it off. All right, hold up here.
Okay, there we go. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then look, you see the elites behind them?
Yes.
In the suits?
With no
masks on?
Yes. Same thing we're seeing today.
Look at that shit. They got the big fancy suits. Everybody got their masks on. And the elites are standing back looking at them like, huh, look at these fucking servants. Look at these.
But even right
look
now,
at these peasants.
Yeah, even right now, in the Met Gala or whatever that thing was this weekend, they said all the elites, no mask, but the people who are helping them all had on masks.
It's just crazy.
We're still playing the mask game. We're still doing that nonsense.
Liberals are stupid. That's what I mean is seriously, they're stupid.
Like, no, I'm serious. We're still like,
I don't get how there's historical pictures. I don't get how there's historical pictures that we can look at from over 100 years ago and see the exact same shit. And we don't sit here and are like, hey, maybe there's a fucking pattern.
Well, no, because you know why they don't see it as a pattern. What they see it as, well, you know, this happened before. And if you do what they did before, it'll make it go away. They don't see it like, history repeating itself? Nope. That's why I tell people, read the book, How to Kill 11 Million People, because it tells you about how Hitler was able to sway the people to go willingly to be killed. That's why I keep explaining. I said history repeats itself, right? So when COVID came and the vaccines came, what did they do? Fear.
Yep,
right? All these people jumped in, right? They all jumped in. Oh, I'm gonna die. No, you're gonna die anyways, but okay, cool, no problem. So they run down there, they get their shots, and then they're like, oh, it's not working. You need another one. They run down there and get another one. They come back and they say, oh, a new strand is coming, which always happens because when you get the more people that are vaccinated, it creates new strands because people have to fight. the virus is fighting against something. They ran down there to get another one. They're hipping, hooray to get their kids stabbed. Like, I've never seen people willingly just walk into the dark and somebody say, it's safe, I promise it's safe. And then they cut your head off and then you still don't do anything. You're still like, oh no, that was a coincidence, that one person. And then they chop off the next person's head.
I'm gonna go back in there.
Yeah. So it's like, when you think about that, and I think why I'm struggling so much is like, even with abortion, they're giving you the freedom back. They're not taking anything from you. They're just saying, be accountable for your actions, pay attention. But everyone is like, they're trying to control us. They're trying to take something away from us. They're trying to no, actually, I never had an abortion. So whether you can get one or not doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Right? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't impact me or affect me one way or another. And
I feel empathetic. I feel empathetic for like I said, for those shit circumstances. But at the end of the day, the logical basis is that it needs to be back to a state basis. It needs to be reflected by what the people want.
I'm on the fence though about one part, and because I'm a big proponent of choice, right? When it comes to SA, I don't know whether I'm pro-life, but SA is one of them things that I'm on the fence about. That's the only one I'm on the fence about because they didn't have that choice. And when the girl when she told her story about her having a child, remember what she's saying about, she pushed through it even though she was, sexually assaulted. She pushed through it and she had her baby. But like on some real stuff, I don't think that, I don't have a daughter, so I wouldn't even know to be in this situation. But if my daughter was SA'd,
you can say it.
And well, sexually assault, rape. I can say that.
You can say it.
Oh, it feels like a weight off my chest because I've been restricting myself from saying it for a while now. But like, I wouldn't be mad at her if she felt like she wanted to get an abortion for that.
Okay, so here, real quick, let's have a real talk, right? So we're gonna have a real talk. So I'm gonna share some personal stuff about me that like not very many people know, right?
Tisha, don't make me cry. You know how I feel about you. Don't do this.
Shut your mouth. So when we talk about sexual assault, when we talk about rape, when we talk about the whole dynamic of abortion and getting pregnant, you have to remember one thing. The nasty, dirty feeling that people make you feel when you've been raped or when you've been sexually assaulted is the biggest problem when it happens to you, right? So as a victim of child abuse, so I was sexually assaulted as a child. I was never supposed to be able to have kids. They told my mom I was sterile. My mother carried that burden, right? She never told me that until I was pregnant with my son. The problem that I see looking back on it now as an adult, I was a young child. I mean, I had sexually transmitted diseases that he gave me, everything, right? The biggest problem is how I was made to feel. Like dirty, right? So like it's a secret. It's this dirty secret. You can't share it. You can't talk about it. So the stigma wasn't on the person who committed the act. The stigma was on me.
Right.
So you feel dirty. So if you lift the stigma of it and you allow people to really talk about it, really go through the emotion, really deal and process it, the issue of being pregnant in those tragic situations would not be as bad. It's just the dirtiness and the stigma and women who've lied, and men and people who've lied about it. That's the problem. And I never realized that, but I told someone, I go, it's like wearing a dirty sweater, right? Wow. You smell, you stink. Everyone sees you with the dirty sweater on, but the person who actually should have the dirty sweater is walking around showered and clean and no one's talking about it.
Damn. You did.
Mikey's about to fall asleep on us.
No, it wasn't. No, that shit was
sad.
Think about it though. If you really think about it, right? Anytime you've ever been assaulted, it's always the victim that is made to feel.
I mean, I mean, yeah, I was assaulted, when I was a kid, and I was made to feel like I was the one to blame. My mom didn't believe me. My mom, told me I was making it up and that I was lying about it and things of that nature. And I think that you're 100% right. That is the worst thing that, you know, I want to say but I never consider myself in the group just because I still feel like it's different for, women with how they experience it. But,
No,
that is the toughest thing is
it's not
the
different.
stigma.
It's not different because it's the violation of innocence, right? So, I always say, like, what it did for me is I was blessed to have a really great family. So it didn't impact me in a way that impacts a lot of people because I had a healthy support system within, like my mom, my dad, like a support system. But literally, it was a secret for so long. My mom
Did
can't
you
even
know
talk.
him?
Do
Did
I
you know
what?
him, Keisha?
It was my
Did you know
uncle.
him?
It was my uncle,
Okay.
my dad's brother. And I'll tell you guys, I spoke to him again as an adult. So we had this conversation. I called him and I said, hey, let's talk about it. He made me feel as an adult that it was still my fault. Like I did something to him. I don't understand what he was going through. He never apologized. He
Oh
never.
God.
So when I tell people that the amount of anger that I could have had, why
Right.
give him that power, right? So
Right.
like you're not going to dictate and control. So when you hear them talk and you hear how fucked up they are, you really understand how they could prey on a child. But
He
what I
needs
tell
his
people,
ass beat.
well, he need more than that, but that's a whole nother topic. But my
I,
No,
thing is this.
I never got an apology from
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
woman that I was supposed to look at with, a
With
form of
respect.
respect.
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
And
see, yeah,
go ahead.
and
Matt,
see,
go ahead.
there's a difference. There's a difference between like I don't know what anybody else's religion thinks, but our religion, in my religion, we don't have to forgive anybody. We don't have that factor of just forgiving people just to forgive them because
Right.
some people don't deserve to be fucking forgiven.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers like that, like for instance, I would go absolutely back to jail. I know me. I would go absolutely back to jail because if I ever found my two sons ever told me something like that happened to them, I'm after this dude. I don't play by I'm not playing by the same rule
Right.
because I wouldn't hate to look at my son and him tell that story. And like I could tell that it hurts both of y'all that y'all went through that. I could tell in your face that that's some real. I could not be able to handle that seeing my son face like that. And there's no way. It's sick.
Well, at 48, I've come a long ways, right? Years and years and years and years and years of counseling. But it does affect and impact your relationships and how you view
Yep.
certain things and how you enter into sexual relationships. All of that stuff is impacted. Why? Because my innocence as a child was stolen. That
Right.
is why now I fight so hard to protect the innocence of a child on all
Facts.
levels because like I look at my daughter who's 21, she's super immature because she wasn't exposed to all of these things that forced her to grow up and be an adult, right? I sheltered her from certain things to allow her to develop within herself. So when you get to this point and we're talking about the children, there's a reason why some of us feel so strongly because we've been through some things that we've seen the other side of it and we can say, nah, this ain't okay.
Yep.
This is just not okay. I'm not speaking from the wind. I'm not speaking from what I'm heard. I'm speaking from my
Right.
own personal experiences. And I'm at the place now where if we don't start talking more, we don't start sharing our stories, if we don't start coming together on all levels, because Mikey and I are, even though your situation happened to you, mine happened, we're the same.
Right.
We're the same. It doesn't matter that I'm a female. It doesn't matter that you're a male. At the end of the day, your innocence was taken from you just like mine. So nothing changes that. And I'm at the point I'm ready to fight. They say that Gen X, the reason why we were put here is because we're going to be the ones that make the stand.
Right. We're gonna fight. Like we're
No. Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I mean? Our generation was
Keisha,
different.
yeah.
yeah. And Keisha, what you were saying about how it definitely does change your out view on relationships. That was why I had such a time period in my life where I wasn't in any kind of a serious relationship. I was constantly just sleeping around with different women. I didn't really care. There wasn't an emotional attachment there because I lost a certain part in my heart that was supposed to outreach to women, and that part where I was like, I wanted to truly care for them because I felt like I was robbed by a woman and I was never going to be able to get that back. And it does cause for that to happen, and I still work on that within myself to this day. That's why I practice celibacy, because I want to make sure that I can get that part back to myself, so it's not just about the physical aspect of it. I want it to get to that deeper level, because again, that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning with the nuclear family structure. I want that kind of teamwork with a woman where that's the kind of shit that builds empires.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
You know
think
what I'm
about it
saying?
like
That's the
this,
shit
Mike.
that builds
Facts.
dynasties.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Power couple.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Right.
on.
Okay, but
Right.
think about it like this, right? You want to know why that is? We've been desensitized. So when you have something like that, especially in sexual in nature, happen to you as a youth, a child, when you don't even know what sex is, you don't even understand it. It has no feeling or meaning for you, right? It desensitizes you. So sex just becomes something, a thing you do. It
Right.
doesn't have that same origin. There's no emotional backing behind it because you were
Yep.
never given the opportunity to have that.
Right.
Yep.
But if you got that emotional backing, it is fun to attack each other.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
see, Mikey went
That's
in
where it's
reverse.
at.
Yeah, Mikey went in reverse. He became a whore. I'm the one that's like, nah, you're not getting this unless I give it to you because it was taken
Man.
from me before. So
Right.
See,
I'm not just giving it away. You know what I'm saying?
and that's one thing I can honestly say. I've never been a whore. Like, I'm 43 and I've only been with 8 women. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't have that same thing. If I get in a relationship, I want it to be long. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like,
just like the connection, and I feel like if I'm gonna give you my body, it needs to mean like it needs to mean something. I tell people I've been married pretty much my entire adult life, so I was married, right? So
right.
the number of men I've been with can be counted on one hand, and I don't need all my fingers. So
right.
if you are privileged
Damn.
and privy to get near me, trust and believe
Damn.
it's because I said
I gotta
so.
use my toes.
Listen,
Mikey
Mike.
said I gotta use
Yeah,
my
he was toes. I know. Listen, I'm 43 and Mike's 22, and Mike is probably triple my body.
We might have to call Mikey and be like, Mikey, so can you give us some pointers on
Oh
what we
no, I read
should do?
Karma Sutra and all that. I am excellent. I'm excellent. I ain't gonna get that shit. But see, this thing is, like,
Oh, shit's funny.
see, my thing is this. I don't think that sex will never outweigh companionship to me.
Right.
If I can hold you in my arms and conversate to you about everything and not be bored, like, if I don't ever want to be with a woman where I pull an AJ, like, oh, I'm bored. I don't ever want to have that. But I want to have that relationship where I can't wait to get off work and get home. You know what I
Right.
mean? Not I
Right.
get off work and be like, oh, gotta go home.
Yeah.
No, I want to be excited, like, ooh, I'm chasing her around the kitchen when I get home. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
little weird shit like that.
I had one relationship like that. I lived with a girl for
Oh.
like it was like 2.5 years. We actually lived together. She was a little bit older than me and she had her own place. And I moved in with her. And that shit was spending
The best,
holidays
right?
together every
Oh.
single day. When I get off work, I'd be like, oh, yep, I gotta get home. Da, 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 da. Like, because I knew that every day was the same thing.
That's it.
Roll up, watch movies, lay down, relax, maybe get some head,
Right.
go on with
Right.
the
That's it. Start the day. Like, listen, I do it.
Why
I
can't I
seen a
listen to
video.
Mikey talk like this?
Listen, I duetted a video that I mean I didn't duet it, but I watched the video that Keisha did, where
Yeah.
somebody said that one of Lady in the Streets and the Freaky Streets. I'm
Oh, yes.
paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
he was talking about. He was like, "Yes, we want a freak in the sheets. Like we want that, but we want it for us. Like we don't
Right.
want the world to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Bingo.
for instance,
Bingo.
I love a woman who's freaky, but I don't want a kind of woman who's freaky for everybody else. I want you freaky
Right.
for me. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's it.
But you know what? That like I said, when you take away from things like that, right? When you pull away from protecting, right? So everything
Mhm.
always circles back to the same place, right? No matter how far
Right.
away you come from it, it always comes back. It's about respecting yourself, respecting the people you're with. I mean, but when we glorify, shaking your ass as a female,
Right.
what do we expect women to do when,
Right.
it's about attention?
I'm gonna say it right now. If you think that you're gonna get a good relationship or any kind of respect for when you got a link that allows the old man Gerald, 54-year-old on the block that hasn't had a woman in years to be able to pay $5 to see you shaking your ass and your vagina lips on fucking camera, you're not gonna get anywhere. I'm gonna just let you know that right now. That's
So
not
you say that, right? Why are more men not telling women to stop?
Because they're not men.
Why are they
Because they're not
liking the
men.
post? Why are they liking the post? Why do these chicks that you go right now on social media and they have millions upon millions of followers, they have millions of likes, and they're jumping up and down and everything else?
And
But
I probably liked 50% of them.
you're
See,
you're fucking
And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna
This
tell you
man
why I
just
like
shot
them.
my whole point
No, no,
down.
no. But no,
Okay.
listen. I'm gonna tell you why. And I would never mess with any of them. You see what I'm saying? Because
Right.
men. Listen, ain't nobody on earth gonna sit here and say they don't watch pornos and they don't like to watch pornos. It'll be a lot. Most people will say it's a lot. But the thing is, I can like something with my eyes. For instance, just because I'm reading the menu, don't mean I'm gonna buy the steak. Every man knows that a woman's body is beautiful and nice to look at, right? It's
Mhm.
just true. And they know
Right.
that men will constantly look. But those kind of women are not the kind of women that real men want. We know how to make that distinction between that's a hoe, that is not wife material. A lot of
Right.
weak men have sex with these hoes thinking that that's something. They get in a relationship with a hoe and wonder why they go through hoe shit. Now, the woman who's watching this same video with me and she's commentating on it and shit like that, she might enjoy it too, but she's not acting like that. That's the ones you marry. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever,
Right.
dude.
I
Whatever,
can hear
dude.
that.
It's
I can hear
true. It
that.
makes sense.
I can hear that.
No,
But I
it
also
actually doesn't
do.
make
So wait.
sense.
So
I
let
don't
me
know.
let me
I've
let
never
me
been to a
answer.
strip club.
Okay,
Let me.
go ahead,
I haven't
Mikey.
either. I haven't either. Let me answer Keisha's question though. I do think that men are trying to stand up. They are trying to say, yeah, she don't play this shit. But but no, I do think that men are trying to say to stop doing it. But the issue is that you have a lot of pushback on that by simps.
Right.
And B, you have women that are also claiming the patriarchy, misogyny, men can't tell me shit, this feminazi mentality. That doesn't help because when you have that mentality, you're never going to hear the other side out, even if they truly are trying to tell you something for your best interest.
Okay.
I'm single. I can't help but to look.
Well, like I tell everybody, okay, when I show my analytics, I said my analytics prove that you can wear a beanie, a hat, a hoodie, and still get views, still
Yeah.
get likes, and
See,
still get
Keisha,
followers.
that's different though. That's not fair. It's not fair.
Here,
How's
You're
that?
fucking.
hold up. Snacks. You talk to
You're
Keisha.
fucking
I'm gonna drop out
gorgeous.
real quick. I'll be right
Like,
back. All right.
Okay.
like she be fronting like she's not gorgeous. Like people are not just going to be like, oh well, I didn't see no boobies. They don't care.
Snacks, stop.
It's true.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, shit.
Stop.
People watch
Stop.
me just because I'm beautiful.
See, you keep saying that. You
It's
really
true.
do. You keep saying that.
It's true though. I'm not the only one that probably thinks that. That's not a bad thing. It's a
It thinks
good
what?
thing that you ain't got to show yourself like that. First of all, you got content. There's a difference. If you ever notice that the women that show their bodies, they have nothing to talk about. Like it's simple.
I
Only
know.
thing they have is their bodies.
Here's the thing. Like when society says that this is sexy, this is
Mhm.
beautiful, you, all these women are seeking this false sense of perfection, right? So, it's like, oh, if you're not skinny, then you're funny. If you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like this stereotype issue of what it could be or should be, right? Because see, I
Right.
watched a documentary that said the reason why so many men are chasing after these young children in other countries is because of porn. Because there's
The white man's on the bottom. This is a form of reparations.
well, that's where you should be, on the bottom. So so when you when you have people, they say that all these men are chasing after these young children and going to these other countries because they want to have sex with them because of porn, because there's this unrealistic expectation of sex, right? So when you glorify it, Snacks, by liking,
That's not glorifying it.
It propagates it.
No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't give them whores a dime, but I'll push a
I
button
know,
real
but it
quick.
boost, but you are in turn giving them a dime because you're boosting their algorithm,
All right.
boosting the amount of following that they have, in turn making their revenue increase through their
So,
links that they have of sex work.
so listen, I understand that, but I would never buy any of it. I would never go buy
No,
OnlyFans or any of that stuff. You see what I'm saying? But I'll
right.
watch it. You know what I mean? Listen, for instance,
but I
like
want
seriously, bro. I was a subscriber to Playboy when I was younger. I couldn't get enough of watching that stuff. But
well, men are visual.
still stay strong, right? That's
Yeah,
what I'm trying to tell you. We're visual,
Yeah, men are very visual creatures. That's a fact.
right?
You're
It's
never
true,
going to change it.
Fact.
You know,
right?
they visually want to see what they want to see.
Because we think about sex a lot more than y'all do. We think
How you
about
know?
it all day long,
How you know?
constantly.
How you know?
Listen,
How you know?
I don't know if y'all think about
Are you a
sex as much as
biologist?
men. Yes, yes.
Yes. No, hey, check this out.
No,
This is so
I
funny.
know I think about it a
hold
lot.
on.
Now, if women
Go
are
ahead,
thinking
Mike.
about it as much as men,
Listen, I've been pigeonholing leftists with that shit in abortion debates for the past 2 days, and then also somebody told me, I asked them, I said, "What's a woman?" And they said somebody with a uterus, and I was like, "Okay, well, what about women that aren't able to have a uterus, that are born without one?" And then they were like, "Well, it's somebody with a uterus or that wants one." So I immediately,
I was there, right.
I immediately responded with, "Okay, I want a uterus, so I get to be able to have a say in this conversation." Next. Like I was just like, I want a uterus. I can just say
Oh,
that.
I want to just say that, right?
Why do they keep trying to take away from the fact that women are deeper than their uterus? I will not understand this stupid ass argument, and it just makes zero sense. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I would like to be a guy for a day.
For a day.
Yeah.
What do you? Is this your? Is this
I would
your?
never
If
want
I
to be
was
with
a
a
boy
woman for a
moment?
day.
No,
Is this
no,
your,
this
if I
is
was
it,
a boy
right?
moment?
No, I just want to be a guy for a day, right? So like I want to know what it's like, what it feels like to be a man. Like I want the full experience. Like I want to know what it feels like to be a man. So like ideally the best way to be would be if you had like a partner, you could just swap with them, right? They become you, you become them, and you just have
Tell
that
you what,
swap.
it ain't always the funnest to be a man. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
Keisha, would you go get some coochie? Is that what you're saying? You go get some coochie?
I would
Yes,
fine. I would. I want to pee standing up.
I always love how you guys are like, that's just a novelty for you.
Right, like it's like so amazing. Y'all can really stand up.
No, I want to walk around with no shirt. Like there's just
I love that part.
You could do that. You could do that at your house with nobody there. What you mean?
No, I want to go outside.
I would never want to switch with being a woman though. I would never want to be a woman.
Why?
I don't think I could ever do that.
If I was a woman, if I was a woman,
I would not having my dick no more.
I'd spend about 20 minutes doing one of these, get bored, and then I'd be like, all right, what's next?
I just say it like this.
Wow. I don't even know. Is that I never wanted to be a man even for a day. See, this is the level of stupidity I be talking about right here.
My areolas.
So
that's up.
Brian said he's not switching with me, so I guess that's out. So
see, whatever. Brian ain't going over that shit either, right? It's a lonely day when you don't got no dick. Seriously, don't nobody want to reach down and feel nothing.
There's something.
It's not. That's not something. That's like what I do when I tuck it back when I'm in the shower, just playing around.
You couldn't handle being a woman for a day.
Who said that?
I don't want to. Whoever said that, tell them I don't want to.
Yeah, who the fuck said that?
They hear you. You don't want to. Okay, it's cool. Whatever. I don't even care anymore. Fine. You guys are back. I don't even want to have the conversation with you guys because you guys are shallow and
no. I'm saying like Keisha, that scares me though. Not having no penis.
It's
don't
for a
understand.
day. I didn't say chop it out
No,
forever. It's
I
for
don't
like
even.
one day.
I don't even
Just
want to
like,
lose it for 30 seconds. I don't.
Nah.
okay, I'm done.
Like
You
I
guys
said,
are so
I would.
It
retarded.
took years
I
for
would
it to
play
grow.
with
I don't want it to lose it now.
Shut up.
I would
Wow.
play with my titties. I would play with my titties for about 20 minutes. I would get super bored, and then I would
Wait.
be like, I don't
You
know what
wouldn't
else.
play with them.
What?
You wouldn't play with them.
My titties? If
Yeah,
I
we
was a
don't.
female, bro,
Right.
I would be playing with my titties like it was the last thing I could do. What are you talking
Right.
about?
And
Why
like
would
I'm
you
so
play
good
with them?
looking.
They're yours. What would be the purpose of playing
Nah.
with them? They're yours. Like that's not how this works. Like
It's feeling titties. What you talking about? Like maybe my mind's
Right.
in the wrong place. I don't know what the fuck.
yeah,
I don't
because you're still thinking like a guy.
I'd be a bad bitch.
No, you guys are still thinking like men. So
Snack
it's like,
seizure.
A
okay,
snack
but here's the
should
thing.
be a
You guys
bad
are
bitch.
still thinking about like a man. You have to think like this is your body. Like we don't walk around playing with our tits. Like you're still thinking like as though you're a guy. You would be
Nah.
thinking
No,
like
that's
a girl.
bullshit. That's bullshit. I know girls that sit there and play with their titties. Don't even lie
Okay,
to me.
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh my
You know
God!
what?
Like,
I'm done.
listen,
I don't
Keisha,
even know why I started
Keisha,
this conversation.
did you ever like? And this is just, you know when you're little and you have toilet paper stuck on your butt and it itches. Like I couldn't imagine having a tampon in me all day.
Okay,
I
you know
couldn't
what?
imagine that. Yo, I couldn't
Okay,
do
on
that shit.
that note,
It's like
that
it itches.
no, we're done. We're done.
You
We are so done.
gotta make sure you get it out of there before you itch it, bro.
We're done.
Then your finger stinks because you scratched it.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
this
Keisha,
is
why did
what
y'all bring me on? Y'all know how I do.
when you bring snacks into the pit.
I'm sorry, but seriously, think about it.
We
All day,
but
y'all are
seriously
fucking
think about
troopers.
it. He's
Y'all
still
are
going.
troopers.
He's still going. He's still going. Seriously, but seriously, think about it. He's
That shit
still
suck out vital nutrients, and y'all still keep it in there.
Oh, look, they just said this took a turn.
No, but it's honesty.
It fell off.
I bet y'all was a woman that said it took a turn.
Yeah. Okay. And
Guys, ask them guys in there. Make a poll. Say how many guys would switch with a woman. I bet you none of them
You guys
said
are
yes.
weak.
TikTok, we don't got polls.
Okay, look, you guys are weak. None. Look, none.
No.
You're weak. Okay, we're done talking.
Because being a man's the shit. That's why y'all want to be one. Because we're the shit.
No. I said for the day.
Yeah, okay. I don't even want to do it for 30 seconds.
Listen, the generation of men today, I'm better than them. So no, I don't want to be none of these weak ass.
Oh, tell it, Keisha.
None of them. Okay, they're all bitches, anyways. So,
Excuse me.
Oh, not you, Mikey. You know I love you.
Yeah. Y'all forget, motherfuckers. I'm in this generation, sadly.
Yeah, no.
Mikey,
you are honorary Gen X.
Yeah, but
you're 46.
Recognize that you're not part of them in that sense. So, anyways, now that we've gotten all off the deep end, we're gonna end our topic of conversation. It's been an hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah, I said this was good episode.
It's been that long?
Yeah, it's been an hour and 48 minutes. So I want to thank Snacks for coming and joining and being so kind to join us. And you know, my favorite guy all the time, Mr. Mikey.
Favorite guy.
And we'll be back. Mikey, I am traveling to Texas, but Kramer.
Yes.
Is going to come and join us. I talked to him today.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so
you can't steal Kramer. He's my friend. We're not going to do this. You can.
Hey, bro, I've never even talked to him, bro. I've literally never even talked to him.
You never talked to Kramer?
No, bro.
Anyways,
Kramer's a fan of Keisha's. Sad.
Yes, and I love me some Kramer. He's going to join us. So hopefully Thursday,
she's taking
Kramer's
everybody from
gonna come and hang out. No one stole anybody. You're right here with Mikey. How is anybody?
Okay, so 2 days.
Doesn't matter. I'm actually hurt.
2 days will be our next.
Yes, and I want everybody to know that Mikey, my guy, is already leaving me. He's already branching out to do his own thing, and he's going to be having what would we call it, a docu-series?
Yeah, it's gonna be a 14-episode docu-series to start. It's gonna be on the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. Each episode of the 13 is gonna be focusing on each individual family, and then the 14th episode is going to be kind of an all-encompassing. It'll probably be the longest episode out of all of them. That'll show how they're controlling the modern day world, what they're involved in, how you can see them in action in certain things that are going on in our day-to-day lives that affect us, and we don't really understand the gravity of how high it goes.
So That's because Mikey is brilliant. He has to do that without me because I am not in his intellectual space when it comes to that. So he's already branching off away from me. So I'm just going to recommend that everyone get Mikey's autograph now before his head is swollen and he's super famous.
I want to see it happen because you're young and brilliant. Go, bro. I'm going to help you regardless.
So
just let me know, bro.
Yeah. So with that being said, we will see you guys hopefully on Thursday. We will keep you posted on our TikTok.
I might send you a line on the weekend or something. I don't know.
All right, be quiet. Snacks, don't leave the space. We're going to do our outro and end the stream, and then we'll talk real quick. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.